Hello,
Hello.
Waliu.
Hello, good
How you
morning, good
doing
afternoon, good
today?
evening, good night. How you doing?
How is it going?
Yeah, everything is going on well. Give thanks to God. How are you doing over there too?
Okay. I'm fine, thank you. So it's a very, very hot topic today. A lot of people have joined quite early, and the topic of today is very, very important. Like, it affects
Yeah,
everybody.
sure.
You can't even say, in fact, what we've been treating affects everybody really, but this one is a core, is a major one. Except you don't work. If you're in a work environment, it affects, because accident is not something that you expect. It's an unexpected. I mean, you are going to define that. You know, it's not something we expect, but it happens. So what happens when it happens? You know, so these are the things we are going to be discussing today. We'll be having our guest speaker, Fola Alade. I'm yet to see him, but he'll be joining us shortly. So we'll just start off. Waliu, please introduce
Yeah.
yourself.
I hope you've introduced yourself too.
I have introduced myself, and the people I'm seeing, it seems they know me a lot. So I think the introduction should start from you. Then we can do a short one about me.
Okay. There's always this saying now that ladies first always. So I wanted to push it to you first as a lady. So
No.
my name is Wali Adegoke. Yeah, I'm a safety advocate, a safety professional. I've been in this field cumulative experience, 7 years plus of experience, and I have this passion for health and safety. Apart from the fact that that is what I'm doing as what brings food to the table, I personally have a passion for it, and I love the safety advocacy. That is to enlighten people about health and safety, to let safety get to the world, to let people to know that yes, there are these things that can be prevented, because people believe that everything that happens is from God. Even if you sit down in your house and fire is burning and you sit down inside your room and say, if God said that it will burn me, it will burn me. It's not like that. There are some things that God has given us the ability to know. He gave us knowledge. So those knowledge, if we don't know it, we can seek for knowledge. And it's our duty for us that have the little knowledge to spread the knowledge. And when it comes to health and safety, I have been able to create that platform on various social media handles, those who know me very well, to keep spreading the health and safety gospel. I even preach safety gospel in public transport. I've done that before. I've preached safety gospel in schools, institutions, with the little I can do. So it's our duty to keep preaching the safety gospel with the little experience I have, and that is what I've been doing for quite a long time. And I think that is good for my introduction today. Thank you. Over to you,
Yeah. So
Mrs.
Wali,
Bulu.
I want to ask something. Can you see my full face? I hope it's not cut. The Instagram light is not cutting my head. I just want to know because I can't know from here.
What's that? Your face is looking good. Nothing is cutting your
Can you
hair.
see my full
No
face?
cut.
Like, is the Instagram live cutting my head? Can you see my full face?
Yeah, I can see your full face. In fact, if anything apart from your full face, I will always see it. I'm seeing your full face. Don't worry. You are covered. Don't worry
Okay.
yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Waliu. So that's about Waliu and about me and my interest. I've been saying that to those that came in earlier, and I would like to repeat that. I'm a lawyer and an HR. I'm also a HR practitioner of recent. Well, I'm a lawyer with over 10 years of legal practice, general practice, particularly in contract business law, and of course, safety, which have been handed over to me, down to me by my late father as a legacy, you know. So I've been working, you know, trying to see, working in line with how the legal parts of how my legal work affects safety and how I can promote health and safety practices through good enforcement. So the thing is, for the topic of today, we'll be looking at workplace accident, that's occupational, also known as occupational accidents, investigation and reporting. Like I've been emphasizing, and we cannot overemphasize it. This is a very important topic. It is good for every worker to know how, when, why it is important to report workplace incidents. It's very, very important, you know. And the reason is that as Salt had mentioned, an unsafe business is an unsuccessful business. If you're running an unsafe business, the business is not successful, because what's the essence of life without, what's the essence of work without life? If your workers are dying, if your workers are not unhealthy, then what's the essence of work? So this is the reason why health and safety is everybody's business and should be everybody's concern and everybody's responsibility, including the employer and the employee of labor. So today, Wali will be taking us quickly on safety accident investigation and reporting, within the health and safety balance. Wali, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. We welcome you all to this wonderful session, and we'll be talking about accident investigation. So I'll be coming from different angles, and most times I like to focus on the workplace. Actually, we are talking about the workplace and how it affects the workers, and also how it affects the organization itself. The truth being said is that Nigeria, for example, we have this low level of reporting accidents or reporting results of investigated accidents. We have low data. We don't have facts and figure to tell us that this is what is happening. If you look at in the past few years, there have been a series of fire accidents, gas explosions. In developed countries, everybody will know the root cause of those accidents and how it can be corrected. But we just hear about them. The next thing we hear is that the families of those that are involved have been given this, but we don't know how can we prevent accidents. So accident investigation in Nigeria is very low, and I think we need to do more. And that is why we are here to always give the safety advocacy. Now, when we now relate it to mental health and safety, you see, checking on the physical state or the physical cause of accident is not enough. When we're talking about accident investigation, we'll be talking about what are the immediate causes, what are the root causes, trying to gather information. Like I said, I'll be coming from various angles. Let me start from this angle. Now, when we talk about an accident, maybe someone, a driver was driving carelessly. A driver was driving carelessly, for example, and he got involved in an accident. What we will try to look at is the person competent enough to drive? Does he have a driver's license? If you remember the incident of the guy that ran through a lady, the pilot lady, can you remember that incident? What we are hearing here was that is the guy competent, the guy doesn't have a driver's license. It goes beyond that. We need to incorporate mental health into this. Was the person in his good state of mind when he was driving? What has happened to the person? But in the workplace, when accident happens, we don't look at this. We don't look at it from these angles too. We believe that if the person is competent, we don't try to check the mental state. I remember was something that Fashola did. Fashola did then. When was the governor? He told them that anybody that is caught driving on the wrong on a single lane, that is one way, the person should be taken to psychiatric hospital to check if his brain is okay. Yes, it's a good sign that yes, you are incorporating mental state. Yeah, it's a good thing. It might sound funny, but it's a good thing to do, because sometimes some people, let's say for example in the workplace, on our last episode we were talking about the issue of what can affect a worker from misbehaving at work. Maybe when someone just got a negative news of someone died in the family. If the company does not have that kind of data, they won't know where to place a worker at a particular point in time. And when accident happens, they won't be able to connect the dots to know that, okay, this person that got that had an accident, it was a few weeks ago, we got a report that our dad or our mom died. So are you getting my point? We got a report that our mom or our dad died. So maybe it was due to that reason, then the person got involved in an accident. It's also a reason. But in the workplace these days, what we have is to only look at the the brake wasn't working fine, or the ground level was uneven, or the guy was driving fast, or the guy was incompetent. We need to go deeper into investigating the mental state of workers when an accident happens. And that is the first angle that I will come from. Now, the question is that why have the workers behaved? Why are workers behaving that way? if a worker is behaving in a particular way that led to an accident, the next question is, why did he behave that way? So that even if you are saying, because most times when this kind of thing happens, the next thing they do is to find a way to send the person out of the workplace. Who told you that the next person that is coming to work in that workplace is going to behave normal?
Because it could actually be a workplace factor. It could actually be a workplace factor. It could actually be a factor of the condition of that work.
It can be a workplace. Yeah, it can be an issue of overusing of worker. Maybe a worker you use your worker from 7 in the morning. Exactly those guys that operate equipment. After they close, they need to wash their equipment. They need to clean it. They need to pack it. Maybe they start work at 7 to start the equipment. They close around 7 in night. Then they have to go through traffic before they get home. They get home around 10. They sleep around 11. Then they have to come back to work around 4. And they have to wake up around 4 again to start preparing to work. At the end of the day, there's an accumulated stress. And this is part of mental health. So when we are investigating an accident, it goes beyond just looking at the physical state, looking at the immediate and root cause based on what we know already. It's also include knowing the state of workers. And if you don't have representative from each department, that is worker representative from each department, we will not know how these workers are behaving. Their behavioral-based safety is very important. I said it in our last episode, each department should have a representative that look at how workers are behaving, get records, what is happening in their personal life. Their personal life can affect the workplace. If one of them, like I said, like I think I said a story 2 days ago about someone who went home to go and bury his mom, only to come back and meet his wife dead. This is not fiction. This is a life story that I had one-on-one. So now this kind of person will still resume to work. Do you expect this? And these are the people that are prone to having causing accident in the workplace because they won't be in their normal state of mind. So these are the data, the data that we need, the data that we need in the workplace, so that we will know how to position one person. Because the reason why we are doing accident investigation is to learn a lesson, is to derive lesson learned and to communicate the lesson learned to the workers. So if you don't have these data in place, we won't be able to connect the dots. So I think I will stop for now because of time. I love to consider.
Yeah, so let's talk about reporting, Waliu. I want us to touch on reporting because this is where it affects workers. If an accident happened at work, what's the reporting? What's the standard reporting? What's the standard for reporting? How do you report such? What is expected of the worker?
Yeah, when
either the victim of the accident or the family member. I'm getting to something with this. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has his own roles and role and responsibility in the workplace. Yeah. When an accident happens in the workplace, the first thing, like you said, is to investigate. Now, how do you investigate an accident, like you asked? If an accident happens, the first thing is those that are around that place to call the responsible people. That is the safety personnel that are on site, to come there to cordon the area off and get data. Now, I'll also come from this angle. When incident happen and you try to meet workers to tell us what has happened on site, now, most times these workers fail to communicate. Is what I've experienced before. They will fail to tell you what really happened because they are scared that their company, which is contractor or whoever, will want to sack them if they tell you what has happened. They see investigation as a means to look for scapegoats, and that is where we need to step up our game. When we are investigating an accident, it's not an issue of looking for a scapegoat, it's an issue of looking for what went wrong and how can we correct it for it not to reoccur again. So when an accident happens, there is a collection of data. When you collect this data, ask questions for those who are around, those who are witnesses, do one-on-one interview, gathering meeting, then collect your data. Then from data, you analyze the root cause and immediate cause. From there, as a professional, you'll be able to establish corrective actions. Then after establishing corrective actions, then you will now come down to implementing such corrective actions. So linking it with mental health and safety, because that is where I love to come from. And I said I will come from various angles. When these things are being done, workers are witness an accident. Now, this is where an organization should actually brush up, step up their game. Workers that witness an accident, maybe a guy that fell from a 12-meter high crane or something. Imagine a tower crane, 50-meter high, 20-meter high. A worker that fell from that height, and a worker was there who witnessed it. Seeing it, do you think that that kind of worker does not deserve to have a kind of a mental first aid clinic? The person who fell might probably die, but those that witnessed it, then that is part of the reason why we need a first aid, mental first aid. Mental health first aid, yes. Yeah, mental health first aid, because those that witness it, that trauma will still be in them. If you just let those people to go and continue to work, there's probability of them getting distracted and another accident happening. But yes, now we see the reason why this mental first aid needs to be mentioned, because most organizations don't look at it from this angle. When accident happens, those that witness the accident should not just be left to go that way. They should also be taken for counseling, for mental first aid, because what they witness might lead to another accident happening. The trauma, the shock of their fellow or their colleague getting involved in an accident can actually lead to another accident happening. So when we now talk about the whole investigation of a thing, incorporating mental health into it will go a long way in preventing in preventing another accident and a reoccurrence of the same accident. Yes. Thank you very much, Wally, for that. I would touch a bit on reporting and then enforcement. Reporting, especially from the victim's angle, and the challenges that we face, and how we can ameliorate it as an organization, as an individual and as an organization. I will touch a bit on enforcement, but it's not really our call. The first thing I will say, for any victim of occupational accidents, victim might be someone who is injured or the relative of a victim, because it can happen that the person is dead. A dead man cannot defend himself, but the relative has some rights, especially the dead man is a breadwinner. Even if he's not, the relative has some sort of right. They lost someone and they need justice. What do? You do not succumb to the pressure of your employer or the company or the organization. Your life is valued. Your life is more important than that work, than returning to that work, just in case you are just injured. But in return, your life is more important. You shouldn't succumb to few pressures, because whether you like it or not, when you succumb, it gives a bad precedent. The first thing you should do, I think you should get a lawyer. In this part of the world, we are advised to engage in legal services, and it's really bad. It doesn't help. It's more expensive. Our being advised to engage in legal is more expensive to us, more expensive to the quality of life that we get. The first thing you should do is to get a lawyer, get a legal practitioner, get a lawyer that could tell you, that could give you an advice. And of course, the knowledge is good for you. You also need to report to the supervisor, your supervisor in the organization, so that it is clear to them that this has happened. There has to be an evidence that you reported the incident. Yeah? And then, if your legal practitioner is involved, if your lawyer is involved, he knows what to do. He knows how to help you get justice. How this is now enforced, it depends really on the circumstances of the case. And yes, talking about being intimidated or being victimized, we do not like to come out, especially because of our economic situation in this country. You still want to continue with your work, or the company tries to, settle out of court. Not the kind of settlement out of court, I would say in an illegal way, yeah? And then the families take some money and ignorantly, that is not even worth, no money is even worth any life, but they take some very ridiculous amount of money for someone's life, and life continues. And then it happens to the next person, and to the next person, and to the next person. There are several reliefs that are available for you. Instead of doing that, you can go through the courts. There's a compensation, there's a law, there's an employee compensation act to take care of that. You can go under that, you can, through that act, the provision of that act, enforce your rights. You can, all that is done in the court. And also the employer of labor owes you a duty of care. You can also enforce your rights under that duty of care through your lawyer, yeah?
And then the thing is, we go through the court and we find out that we spend years, 3 years, 4 years in court. That is one of part of the discouragement. And that's why I come in as a legal practitioner and tell you that, see, there might, just in case that there might be other ways, would mediation actually be the answer? And this is the reason why we invited Mr. Fola Alade. He's a mediator and a legal practitioner, a notary public. He has a lot of knowledge in this area, and he'll be able to tell us if mediation is actually the answer to this issue. Why I come in as a legal practitioner and tell you that there might, just in case that there might. Okay, so I can hear myself. I hope there's no network issue. Okay.
No network issue. I think we are trying to replay it over to see how it works. Okay,
so that is where it comes in. And we'll be bringing him in. We'll be bringing him in shortly. Yeah. So, like I said, it's very important as workers we know what to do, because accident is not something you expect. Now it has happened. What do? How do you address things? You know, while you have talked about the importance of investigation, there's also the part of reporting, letting your supervisor know, getting a good representation, legal representation is really getting tough. Safety is justice. Safety is life. To the lawyer, safety is justice. Yes. We all need to, feel valued, feel our life is valued. And we can't continue on to the next person setting bad precedents, in our workplaces. So I'll be bringing in Mr. Fola Alade now. I think I should be able to bring 3 people at the same time. Oh, it says only one guest can be in my video. I don't know why this. Waliu, so you would excuse us a bit so I can bring him in. Yes.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Okay, so I'll be bringing Mr. Fola Alade in shortly. And just before I bring him in, it's important to pay honor to whom honor is due. So I'll be reading his short profile. Mr. Fola Alade is a notary public and a seasoned commercial alternative dispute resolution specialist with over a decade experience that cuts across real estate, debt recovery, oil and gas, and the financial industry. He's the founder and principal partner at Fortifa Partners, LP Mediators and Mediation Advocates, a full-service commercial law firm in Nigeria. The law firm offers a wide range of expert legal services to a highly diversified and global clientele base. A standing member of the Lagos Court of Arbitration, Fola Alade runs an active social media page which he sheds enlightenment on legal issues majorly surrounding mediation. He has facilitated several trainings on negotiation, mediation advocacy, negotiation in the workplace conflicts, and emotional intelligence. He has also published several articles across different cities in Nigeria. A passionate advocate of mediation and a lover of parties in life, Fola is married to Teju Fola Alade, a senior HR practitioner and founding partner of Teju Writes, Better Work and Discuss with Teju. The marriage is blessed with 2 kids. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our mediator and guest speaker for today. Good afternoon.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we do Fola Bumi Fola? Can we do that?
You want just Fola? Okay. Good afternoon, Fola.
Yes. Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm fine. Good. So, on the question of the day, and we hope that you do a lot of justice to it, considering the state of occupational accident enforcement in Nigeria, do you think that mediation is a better option?
Oh, yes. I believe mediation is a better option. So, by way of clarity, can everyone hear me loud and clear? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Very clear. Very, very clear.
Great. So, yes, so I think we will not do justice to this topic without first of all even going into what the etymology of mediation is, what mediation is. And I'm going to try to be as simplistic as possible without using all our big grammar, because I like to believe that some of the people we are speaking to here don't know what mediation is. So what is mediation? It really is a private dispute resolution process where parties, where a neutral, who's a mediator, resolves issues between two people or two parties, two companies. You understand? It is usually voluntary, and that is essentially what mediation is all about, where a trained neutral, who is called a mediator, resolves issues between two parties. Now, against the backdrop of what a mediation is, I'm now trying to look at this. I'm going to look at this from three perspectives. The first perspective, vis-a-vis the topic at hand, is the mediator. What is the mediator trying to achieve between two parties? The first party is the employer. The second party, for the sake of what we're discussing about, I will call them the victim. You understand? So really and truly, what is the intention of the mediator? The intention of the mediator is to find out what the underlying interest is. You see, a lot of times when parties have disputes and they come around, they are aggrieved, they are upset and all of that, when the mediator listens, what he's trying to find out is really what they want. What do you want from this mediation session? You understand? Now, when we talk about occupational hazards can come in different ways. It can result in loss of life. It can result in loss of limb. It can result in I don't know, a deformity that money might not be able to easily cure. So the first thing the mediator needs to first of all find out is what the underlying interest is. What does the victim want? Then, of course, I don't take it for granted that sometimes the employers might be culpable. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, they might also be negligent by not putting some certain things in place. But nobody actually sets up an establishment with the aim of killing somebody. There might be a level of negligence, not doing what they're supposed to do at the risk of trying to save costs. But the whole intention of establishing a business is to make money, not to kill people. So now, against the standpoint of that, now let us also look at the perspective of the employee in trying to find out what exactly is in the employee's mind with regards to occupational hazards when issues have been tabled down. The first thing you have to make the employer understand, is that, look, it is cheaper to have this issue resolved through mediation, for parties to sit and discuss. Because when you decide, as my learned friend now, you know how much these things cost now, when you decide to bring in a lawyer into play. Now, there's an elephant in the room people don't talk about, the value of time in the scheme of things. You know the number of years they will spend. And I think people need to understand the concept of mediation. You see, mediation as the first port of call is not to take away litigation, no, but it's to try to see whether the issues can be resolved. So the first thing the employer needs to understand is that it is cheaper. Secondly, it fosters relationship. And thirdly, when you bring in mediation, is that it brings in a human element to the scheme of things, that you are empathetic towards the victim's plight. You understand that, look, this has happened, but in view of what it is, even if money cannot buy back that life, even if money cannot restore that land, even if money cannot cure that hazard, but at least it will serve as a buffer. Now we're going to also look at the person in question in form of the victim. The victim, now, what does the victim really want? Now, you say this happened, this, that, and all of that. The company should have done this, the company should have done that. Now, I must add that mediation is forward thinking. And that is the difference between mediation. Something. Are you there, Bumi? Can you hear me loud and clear? Yeah.
Friendship, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so the mindset of litigation is that this has happened. Because this has happened, you must pay for it. You understand? That is why in litigation, you have to be able to establish and prove a course of action You understand? Which is why if you look at it from the criminal point of view, it is proof beyond reasonable doubt. And civil, I think, is based on preponderance of evidence, if I can still remember
Yeah.
all of that, the burden of proof and whatnot.
Yeah.
You see, it is back, yes, preponderance of, I've not used that word in a long time. Preponderance of evidence. So, yes, okay, I haven't used that word in a long time. Yeah, later on, Olidi, I see you guys. So, Benga is it, so I see you. So basically, the way it works is that I'll give you the mindset of litigation. Yes, if you had actually installed XYZ gadget into this place, maybe if this victim was walking down that place, the victim would not have fallen down. So if I'm able to establish negligence under the principle of blah, 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 I don't know what is violence and flesh and all that, and you're able to prove, you understand, then the company must pay. But no, with mediation, it's not like that. Mediation, okay, fine. This is where we are, Mr. Victim. This has happened. What do you want? Now, if within the framework of mediation, we don't use the word damages because it has not yet been established. So, and this is semantics matter in the scheme of things. You don't use damages, you use the word compensation. How can you be compensated? You see, there's something in mediation that matters, and I can't think of a better way to say it. If I say it in English, it will lose the flavor. You understand? How well do you marshal out what it is you want to present to the victim? First of all, compensation. How can the victim be compensated? You understand? For what might have happened. Money will not bring back life. Money cannot buy back whatever lien. Then again, sometimes people need to also understand the standpoint of the victim. Money is not everything. Sometimes they just want you to show empathy. They want you to show that you care. You understand? Then respect. Everything is not money. Don't say, okay, fine, yeah, well, because this has happened, the Employee Compensation Act states that when XYZ happens, you must pay. We're talking about human life here now. We're not talking about some chattel or some goods. You understand? So, and sometimes an apology. You understand? An apology at the fact that, look, this has happened. How do we move on from here? And at every point in time, there is always a meeting point for all of this. You understand? So one of the reasons why I hold the strong opinion that mediation within the framework of occupational hazard is the best way to go is that, look, it's not a commercial transaction. It is not business. Nobody, it is predicated on some type of misfortune. So you need to understand the dynamics of what makes this different from a business gone wrong and all of that. If something did not, if that victim did not suffer some kind of loss, we would not be having this kind of conversation now. So the employer needs to understand where the victim is coming from. The victim too also needs to understand that, look, because this has happened, you don't expect the employer to close shop now. You understand? You don't expect the business of the employer to go down. So both parties need to understand each other. And that is where a mediator comes into play.
Are you there? Yeah. It's hanging, but can you hear me? Your video is hanging. Hello? Can you hear me? Are you there? Hey, the video is hanging. But can you hear me? Can the others hear me, or is just the problem? Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I was
just have it back now. Yeah.
I was just talking and talking. What was the last thing you heard?
Okay, I think you talked about that there shouldn't be loss of business because the employer.
Yes. Yeah. They shouldn't. Yeah, you don't expect the employer to close shop. You understand? Because of the accident that happened. So you see, so the victim too should also be understanding to the plight of the employer that, look, it's unfortunate this has happened. So, but where do we move on from here? And you see, both now this now goes back to the employer and the victim. I'm going to take both of them together. You see, forward ever, backward never. And that is the job of a mediator. When people say, when the employer is saying that, okay, fine, maybe if the victim had not done this, you say no. If the victim has done this and this is where we are, then when the victim too is saying that if the employer to have put in some certain safeguards and this, yes, but this is where we are right now. How do we move on from here? You see, because you cannot continue to look back or walk backwards and make progress. So within the framework of occupational hazard vis-a-vis mediation, you understand? Mediation is, you see, it infuses a human element into the scheme of things. Mediation lets you hear directly from both parties. You see, now, unlike litigation where you literally arrogate powers to the lawyer, you understand, to the lawyer on both sides, wherein you only get to hear from the victim when doing cross-examination, examination in chief and all not. You understand? Mediation humanizes the process. Because now, of course, the company, because it is party-driven, the company does not, the employer does not have a choice, which usually is always in form of the company, to have a representative speaking on behalf of them. Now, the victim too has the opportunity to ventilate, has the opportunity to speak his or her mind out. So there is no way you can even talk about mediation without talking about emotional intelligence. You understand? You see, these things, they matter a lot. Because how well did the company take care of the victim while the victim was probably in the hospital or something? What did they do? You see, these little things, they matter. They matter in the scheme of things. So you cannot, so let's not even look at the formalized structure of mediation, where you see a mediator sitting down, talking to A and B and all of that, you understand? You can practice mediation, you understand? Once the victim approaches the company, before you start telling them, okay, fine, my lawyer should come and meet me and all of that, the HR manager, somebody that understands the principle of discipline, can call them and say, okay, fine, what do you want? It is always one of two things. Money, you understand, in form of compensation, and empathy. So if it is money, you understand, and you being able to manage the expectation of the victim, so why then are we bringing a court into play? So I will stop right here because I'm of the opinion that engagement is the strength of clarity.
I think I'll have some questions for you, or maybe some comments. But I would just like to reiterate some of the things that I think you've said, some of the very salient points that you've raised. And that is the importance of mediation. The fact that mediation is something that the employer of labor and even the employee of labor needs to be willing to do. I think I took that from your discussion. It's something that both parties must be willing to have. Because if you have one party who is headstrong into litigation, tilting towards litigation, and one party is saying, let's mediate, I don't think mediation will work. And a lot of things come to play in that respect. You know, if you're talking about mediation, we also have the issue of trust. To what extent has the employer of labor gained the trust of his employee, of the victim now? To what extent has he gained the trust of the victim in the course of the employment, during the course of the employment? All this has to play on the desire or the willingness of a party to submit to mediation. Again, you said something that mediation does not take away litigation. Yes, it's good to go with such kind of understanding. However, it is also good that both the employer and, which is what we are doing today, they are sensitized on the, you know, the ease, the advantage that comes with mediation. So that when they go to mediation, they go with the mind of putting everything behind them, like what you said, putting everything behind them and looking forward is a forward-looking approach. These are the advantages. These are the things I see. You know, these are the important points I think you've raised with regards to mediation. However, I have one question, and it's more difficult, Mr. Fola, especially when it's more difficult, Fola, especially when it is it involves the death of a victim, to actually submit to mediation. Even though I wouldn't have loved to go into the details of this, because this matter is at the door of the court already. It's one of the matters that we're handling at the center. Anyway, there's a case of a victim. He died in the course of employment, workplace accident. when he was sick, when he had the fracture in his leg, you know, that led to his death, the company did not attend to it. You know, they did not help with his bills. They even stopped his salary and everything. And now he's dead, and they're asking for mediation. In fact, they took it to the regulators, you know, trying to get the regulators pressurize the victim and the family before the victim came to the center. Like, the center I'm talking about is Occupational Health and Safety, Occupational Health, Safety and Empowerment Center. And the Legal Aid Clinic is the unit that is set up to help, to help victim of occupational accident, get justice, you know, because we found out that a lot of times they are intimidated. They are intimidated to keep silent, and the issues are not well handled, and then it keeps reoccurring with the same factory, the same company. They keep doing the same thing, the same unsafe acts, you know. So these are the reasons why we have such kind of NGOs, and even it's also part of the work of the regulators. Sorry to digress. So now we work with the regulators, but we see the attitude of the employers of labor. How do we make them to understand that mediation could be the best bet, you know, from the initial, from the beginning, because there are some certain stages where you don't even introduce mediation. I think so. Maybe because of my lawyer skills. I just feel you don't even bring mediation because you've messed up, if I'm to use that word, you know. So what do you think? What's your comment?
You've raised you've raised 3 points, and I'm going to start off from the point from the position of the lawyer. I'm going to take the end to there. You see, as lawyers, we need to unlearn and we learn some of the things we know vis-a-vis dispute resolution, and understand that, look, you see, when 2 elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. Now, I'm going to also take the part of the company. First of all, you see, the problem we have is that, you see, people will continue to do the best with what they know. If they know better, they will do better. You understand? Now, I hear you loud and clear. They should have taken the victim to the hospital. They should have done this, done that. It's part of looking at the things they should have done. But at the end of the day, will any of this bring back the victim again? No, it will not bring back the victim again. You see, as lawyers, we make this mistake because we are disassociated from the issues in contention. Yeah, we don't put ourselves in the shoes of the grieving family. You see, sometimes let this family, all they need is closure. Now, when you have a case in courts for 3, 4, 5 years, and the victim's family they are going to court, they are doing that, how do you think that is helping them get closure? You understand? At the end of the day, after 4, 5, 6 years, when you get that so-called justice, now, when you now equate the time spent in court, the time you have to make the victim's family remember what the victim went through, you now ask yourself, where is the justice? Is the justice in the amount of money that you will pay the victim's family? Let's be honest now. Let's be honest. I get where you're coming from, but you see, everybody is guilty of this. The lawyer is guilty for not understanding the benefit of mediation. You understand? Because if he understands the benefit of mediation, he will know that mediation is forward ever and not backward ever. You understand? The companies too, you understand? The companies, they to themselves, they don't understand the concept of mediation. Now, you might think they are running to mediation as a form of succor or as a shield of some sort. But if you look at the dynamics of things, it's cheaper for both sides. It's cheaper for both of them. And most importantly, the victim. Now, look at what you're saying now. All I hear is, I feel, I as a lawyer, how about the victim? The only succor you can give the victim in all of this is money. That is all. And a sense of justice, which is neither here nor there. Now, to bring everything back to where we are right now, you understand, yeah? The company, yes, they could have done better, but they probably did not do any better. But you see, we as lawyers, I don't want to use the word we need to learn more. I think we need to unlearn. Yes, because you see, if you look at our foundation, as lawyers, we are taught to be, we are advocates. We are taught to have this litigation spirit in us. And guess what? We don't even know. We don't even know we do this. Because we only think in terms of legal terms. And let me tell you something. The job of a lawyer is not any different from the job of a doctor. You know, when you go and see a doctor, the doctor is saying to you that when you tell the doctor, I have headache, I have this, the doctor is okay, fine, headache, it might be a sign of heart attack. This one time, he's just ticking. That is the mindset of a lawyer. When you're talking to a lawyer, what is thinking, okay, fine, what does this fall under? Does this fall under breach of contract? Does this fall under X? Does it fall under Y? But with mediation, what you are really thinking of, okay, fine, so what is the way forward? This person is dead. You understand? What succor can I give the family? Now, it's a different ball game entirely when the company or the employer is coming with an insult offer. You understand? Where they're trying to chip in the whole idea of this. But when you now feel that, okay, fine, no, let us first of all slam them with litigation first, like we always do, so that we can use litigation to drag them to the table. No, it should not be like that. And that is what we as mediators and trainers, we're trying to change. We are trying to educate people. You understand? Because for me, it's not so much so about the settlement. It's more about enlightening people. It's more about educating them. You know, because really, once you're able to change the mindset of a man, you're able to change everything. So there's a comment from Wally. It says that the debt won't come back, but we are working towards reoccurrence. Does mediation prevent reoccurrence? The question is this. I will act like a typical Nigerian by answering with the question, does litigation prevent reoccurrence? It doesn't prevent reoccurrence, no. It doesn't prevent reoccurrence. So if litigation does not prevent reoccurrence, how do you expect mediation to prevent reoccurrence? Because now, don't forget, reoccurrence comes in different ways. That a man fell down and died through one act, and you have been able to plug that act, does not mean a man in that same company cannot die through another act. So it's really important to put the principle of reoccurrence in proper perspective. But like I said to you, the most important thing in the scheme of things, and this is where I don't want us to lose focus, is the victim. Where does the victim stand in all of this? If you decide to go through the line of litigation, will the victim get a sense of justice? Now, when you now also look at the sense of justice, you now look at it vis-a-vis time, vis-a-vis closure. You understand? Will you be able to achieve this with the victim? So I guess I'll stop here right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Fola. We've gotten to know a lot about mediation, which is a focal point of this discussion today. However, I understand, and we understand, that there's no, like what Yoruba will say, onokon owoja. There's no one way to resolve this. There are some disputes that cannot go through mediation.
I agree with you.
No matter how we want to look at it, there are some issues here, especially when it involves serious liability. I mean, serious liability, employer's liability. You know, and like those also have to do with the regulators. Yes, the regulators are involved. There are laws guiding such things. So you cannot mediate, for example, the closure of a workplace, of a factory that is known, you know, for unsafe practices, sharp, terrible practices. You cannot use mediation to stop the closure of such workplaces or to negotiate anything with staff in such workplaces. So I understand that there are very good situations, even when the victim dies, that can go through mediation, especially because, you know, the family can't go through that pain, you know, of the...
Can I ask a question? Can I ask you a question within the framework of what you just said about closure now? If at the end of the day, you are those parties approach you and say that, okay, fine, you know what, we hear you loud and clear, but we are undertaking that based on the closure for this, we will not do X, Y, Z again. And you're able to get an agreement from them. Is that not mediation?
Why not? Why not? That's what I said. Mediation.
So that's mediation.
It takes an agreement of both parties. And that's the reason why we're here. People need to be enlightened. Because it takes both parties to understand it. One party cannot say, I submit to mediation, and the other party is saying no. Because it means that's not what the other party really wants.
Yeah, but
so they both have to understand the advantage. But
the foundation of it all, is the understanding of the process. You understand? Both parties, not one party, which is why there has to still be more talk about mediation, the benefits of mediation. There has to be more enlightenment. You understand? Because when people understand, understand the enlightenment of this, then the world will be a better place for all of us. Yes.
Very true. Very true. And just like you said, like enforcement, you know, enforcement is in different areas. There's a civil part, there's a criminal part. Where a company flouts a law, a lay down law, it's not in terms of civil liability this time around. There's really not much you can do with the regulators. You know, if they are reported to the regulators and they flouted the rule, there's really nothing much you can do in that area when it comes to mediation. That is why I said there's a place for mediation. And of course, there's also the place for litigation at every time. And of course, mediation is mostly welcome in private disputes. As a commercial lawyer, I'm very, very open to it. You know, I'm not adverse to mediation at all. And I also hope that those who have listened to us have taken one or two things from the advantages and, you know, of mediation, especially when it comes to occupational accidents. We've had cases up till now, they've been reported in the media of deaths of victims in workplace. We don't even know what is going on with them. We're involved at some point. At some point, we don't know what happened. Maybe there was a mediation, which is okay if the family really agreed and if it was sensible in the real sense of it. It was really sensible, because sometimes we find them cheated, intimidated, and all that. You know, so that's the whole essence of this talk. Employers of labor should understand the importance of mediation. It's not for them to avoid liability or to continue with their unsafe practices. It's not an encouragement for reoccurrence. It's for safe practices to happen side by side, successful businesses. I think, like they say, a win-win situation, you know, it's for that to happen. So that's the whole essence of this discussion. I'm very, very grateful, Fola, for giving us your time, your energy, your resources, your knowledge, for sharing your knowledge in this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay then. Yeah. So have a good one then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.
Okay. So how do I leave?
I'm trying to.
No, let me just. Yeah. Okay. I'll leave now. Yeah.
Okay. So it was quite a very intense. At some point, it looked like Mr. Fola was attacking lawyers, but it's fine. He's not attacking lawyers. In case you didn't get it, just to clarify, he's not attacking lawyers. He's trying to, you know, explain the importance, how valuable mediation is, you know, in workplace private disputes between employer and employees of labor, especially in cases where we have occupational accidents. So I'll be bringing in Waliu to wrap up this section. Thank you all for sparing your time to be with us. I'll be bringing in Waliu right away to round up this session. Please stay. Waliu.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, so share your views from an HSA officer. It seems to be so much in your defense. The employers of labor, yeah.
Yeah, I quite understand the angle that Mr. Fola actually was coming from. But there are so many things that, you know, this is Nigeria, for example. We shouldn't say because we're in Nigeria, then we should operate in a Nigerian context. We are always trying to move forward to improve ourselves. In Nigeria, I don't think mediation can work to a larger extent, like you said. There are some things that mediation cannot just go on with, because mediation is like trying to boycott the legal process and trying to settle things ourselves. Let us settle it ourselves. And
not exactly, Waliu. I think, like we concluded, there's a place for mediation and there's a place for litigation. There are really some tough cases. I mean, you just look at it and you know that it's not even happening. So, mediation there has to be an agreement from both parties. So that's the thing about mediation. It can't be one-sided, and you cannot intimidate one party to go into mediation with you. So I think we are all settled in that. Yes.
There's a place for mediation and there's a place to take a legal action. I will agree with that. But it's all well and good. all what we just don't want is a situation whereby a worker, a victim, will feel intimidated because he knows he has, like, you know, there was a case that brought us together. The case that brought you and I together.
I mentioned this, and I was still going to bring it up. Go ahead.
Yeah. That particular case is an example of trying to settle it out. That's why I asked the question: Will mediation prevent reoccurrence? The reason why there's a system in place in the workplace is to prevent reoccurrence. We know a situation whereby an accident will keep happening, and a company cannot just give a verdict to a victim's family that, okay, this thing will not happen again. We will put this in place. We will make sure that there's a guard on the machine. We will make sure that they wear an S belt. We will make sure that there's this. We will put this. They can't say that to the victim or the family of the victim. It won't work.
Well, let me quickly read some. Let me quickly read some comments. I'm seeing some interesting comments here that support what we're saying. Olushe Babatunde said, if safe practices will not be upholded, then the mediation is just like putting a cover on wound. Yes, I think there's a need. You said that's the thing. We're all working everything together. Having safe practices vis-a-vis having a safe, a more widely accepted kind of resolving dispute. Because whether we like it or not, accidents will always happen. But the way it happens, how it is handled, how it happens is the most important thing. That is what I think.
Sorry, I would like to say something here.
Yes. Yes.
We are talking about accident investigation, accident reporting, and we are talking about mediation. There's a channel to reporting. Yes. Reporting doesn't only stop in the workplace. Reporting continues to reporting to the national authorities, the regulators. So now, when we are talking about mediation, it means that we are cutting that side of reporting to the regulators. Because
you can't. That's why I said there are kind of cases that can, even the regulators. There are kind of cases that even the regulators, after investigation, sorry, I wanted to come into that. After investigation, if it is found, or if it is found that the employer, the employee, is also contributory to the unsafe acts that led to his accident, there's a place for, settling it within themselves, within the regulator and even the company. There's a place for that. So that is why I said it depends on the circumstances surrounding the event, the incident.
Yeah, I understand. No,
depends.
Look at the situation whereby, let's look at the situation whereby someone dies in the workplace, and based on mediation and the likes, the company pays the family's victim, the victim's family, 500,000 naira. I don't want to mention the name of the company. It's a company that we all know. It's an accident. Now, this accident is not even in the workplace. It's outside. And they call it blood money. Now, you are paying for someone's life. You are paying for 500,000 for someone's life. I don't think there is a balance in it. And the family, the poor family, maybe probably, I don't know, I haven't seen 500,000 naira before, will be like, this is a good amount of money. But when it is being, I believe that when it's been taken legally, maybe it's because of the country that we have. I don't think in developed countries such cases will take up to 5 years. Why would such a case linger up to 3, 4, 5 years in the court? It means that the whole system is not supporting the issue of accident investigation and putting the required disciplinary action in place. From my own view, because when we continue to mediate, like I asked, it won't prevent reoccurrence. Now, accidents will always happen, but accidents should happen not based on the negligence, the obvious negligence of companies. There's what we call hush policy that has just been how would I put it? Hush policy here in Nigeria. I think last year it was brought up last year. Occupational health and safety policy that talks about preventing accidents. So it is the complete responsibility of a company to prevent accidents. So if every accident happens, and there's what we call unsafe and unsafe condition. Most accidents happen based on unsafe conditions. Unsafe act is there, but at the end of the day, it still goes down to the lack of companies' commitment to health and safety. So if we continue to mediate at every point in time, it is cutting out the issue of reporting to the top authority, that is the regulators, the legislators, or whatever they are, and it's also cutting that possibility of preventing an accident from happening. Because meditation to me seems like we are attacking an issue at the time. But what we are talking about as professionals is that we are attacking the issue not at the time, but looking at the whole system as in general,
holistic view.
Yes. Holistically, not for that particular one, but to prevent a reoccurrence. And a one-on-one dialogue, I don't think will make us to achieve that. But all the same, meditation is good to an extent, based on the kind of system.
It's an option, but it's not absolute. It's not absolute.
But in a working country, the country that is working, a developed country, I don't think it will go a long way. Everybody will always want to go to court because they always get justice.
Thank you very much, all our listeners. We had a lot of people today. While you hope you know that I wasn't looking at the numbers on the screen because Instagram doesn't give us the real numbers. I saw a lot of people coming, and I can see a lot of people still here. I'm hopeful that this conversation will still continue. It's a very today's topic is a serious one. It's unending. It's a discussion that will still continue. How do we get our employers of labor? How do we get our companies, our organization to embrace safe and healthy practices at work for their workers, and also to treat our workers well when there's an accident? When an accident is being reported, not to intimidate them. How do we get workers to feel free to report accidents at work and to get justice? This is the whole essence of this discussion. I'm Bumi Jasmine Omeke. I'm a lawyer. I represent OSEC Legal Aid Clinic, Occupational Health, Safety and Empowerment Center. It's an organization that was set up by my late dad, Dr. B.F. Oluwagbemi, to promote health and safety practices in Nigeria, especially in the workplace and also in the informal sector. I represent and coordinate the legal aid units where we take complaints from occupational accident victims and help them with enforcement and getting justice. So that is all about the session of today. And with me is my co-host Waliu. He has been he has shared so much knowledge in the area of health and safety, especially when it comes to reporting and investigation. So today I would like to call it a day, and I will leave you with this word. I had it on my post and I would like to say it again because this is actually going to go on other platforms. We are taking a record of this session. So I would like to say this: no one prays for accidents. That is why it is an accident. Sometimes we foresee it, but do nothing about it. Maybe we don't know, or those who know don't show. Now you have the opportunity to know. I would advise you to try to know. No one plans to die at work. No one plans to work to die. But it happens. What happens? What happens when it happens? Then you need to know. And we need to show that life has value. Our lives have value. That is the reason why we're here. Because our life must be valued. Thank you very much for listening. And see you on our next series in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you all for coming to this section. It's been a wonderful moment with you guys. With you guys, there won't be this kind of morale and motivation to keep with our episode. In the next 2 weeks, we are going to address a very important topic, a very important issue that affects health and safety, not only in the workplace, but in your home too. There are so many things that also applies to our home. That is only when we continue to learn these things. We learn and unlearn these things that we can actually have a safer world, a safer life, and a safe place to live. Join us in the next 2 weeks as we bring you another beautiful series. Thank you very much for coming. Have a wonderful, is it wonderful or splendid? Which one should I use? A wonderful week ahead.
Everything
Bye.
Good. Bye.